On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Kenny Rogers, the legendary country music singer, passed away on March 20th, 2020, at the age of 81. His death was attributed to natural causes, and he was in hospice care at the time. His passing marked the end of an era for country and pop music, as Rogers had spent decades shaping the sound of both genres with his signature storytelling and warm, gravelly voice. His death occurred during the early months of the COVID-19 pandemic, a time when much of the world was experiencing uncertainty and loss. As a result, the usual public tributes were limited, but his legacy continued to shine through his music. Rogers' passing had an immediate emotional impact on the music industry and his fans. With a career spanning over 6 decades, he had become a household name, known for hits like The Gambler, Islands in the Stream, and Lucille. His ability to cross over between country, pop, and adult contemporary music made him one of the most commercially successful artists of all time. His death was widely mourned, and tributes poured in from fellow musicians, including Dolly Parton, his longtime collaborator and friend. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, his influence was celebrated through digital tributes and radio specials dedicated to his work. Rogers' death only amplified his legend. His music had already cemented his place in history, but in the wake of his passing, his songs saw a resurgence in popularity. The Gambler, in particular, remained a defining anthem, reinforcing Rogers' image as a masterful storyteller. His farewell tour in 2017 had already been a way to say goodbye to fans, but his passing solidified his status as an icon whose songs would live on for generations. His legacy is preserved through the music he left behind, as well as through the artists he inspired. Rogers was more than just a singer. He was a symbol of timeless storytelling in music. His songs often carried themes of love, hardship, and resilience, reflecting universal human experiences. His influence can still be felt in modern country music as artists continue to draw from his narrative style. Through recordings, documentaries, and tribute concerts, Rogers remains immortalized, proving that great music transcends time and continues to connect with audiences long after an artist is gone. David Rockefeller, the billionaire banker and philanthropist, passed away on March 20th, 2017 at the age of 101. His death was attributed to congestive heart failure, a natural passing that marked the end of a century-long life dedicated to finance, global diplomacy, and philanthropy. As the last surviving grandson of John D. Rockefeller, the oil magnate and America's first billionaire, David Rockefeller, was a direct link to one of the most powerful financial dynasties in history. His longevity allowed him to witness and influence nearly every major economic and political shift of the 20th and early 21st centuries. Rockefeller's passing symbolized the waning of an era dominated by old money industrialists who wielded economic influence on a global scale. Unlike his grandfather, whose business empire was built on oil, David Rockefeller expanded his reach through banking, serving as chairman and CEO of Chase Manhattan Bank. He was instrumental in globalizing American finance, fostering international trade, and forging diplomatic ties with foreign leaders. His death came at a time when the financial world had largely transitioned from the dominance of family dynasties to corporate entities and technology-driven economies. The immediate consequences of Rockefeller's passing were largely symbolic. As a private banker and philanthropist rather than a political leader, his death did not cause global economic upheaval, but it did mark the end of an era of banking leadership that emphasized personal relationships and diplomacy. His contributions to international finance, as well as his philanthropic efforts in art, education, and urban development, were widely recognized in the wake of his passing. Institutions such as the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, which he helped shape, paid tribute to his legacy. Despite his immense wealth and influence, Rockefeller remained a somewhat enigmatic figure, known for his patronage of global causes rather than public spectacle. His legacy is immortalized through the institutions he supported, from Harvard University to the Council on Foreign Relations. His philanthropic contributions, which exceeded $900 million over his lifetime, continue to shape public life. More broadly, Rockefeller's life and death highlight society's evolving relationship with wealth and power, once centered on individual magnates, now dispersed among corporations and global networks. Through biographies, business history, and the lasting impact of his philanthropy, David Rockefeller remains a key figure in understanding the intersections of wealth, power, and global finance. Henry IV of England, the first Lancastrian king, died on March 20, 1413, at the age of 45. His death was attributed to a prolonged illness, possibly leprosy or a severe skin condition, though some historians suggest he suffered from a form of cardiovascular disease. His final years were marked by declining health, which forced him to withdraw from active governance, allowing his son, the future Henry V, to take a more prominent role in ruling the kingdom. Henry IV's death symbolized the end of a tumultuous reign that was defined by rebellion, political instability, and the challenge of legitimizing his rule. Henry had seized the throne from his cousin Richard II in 1399, establishing the House of Lancaster as England's ruling dynasty. His rule was continuously challenged by revolts, including the Percy Rebellion and the uprisings led by Owen Glendower in Wales. His reign reflected the precarious nature of medieval kingship, where legitimacy was often contested, and stability relied on military success and noble alliances. His declining health in the later years weakened his grip on power, making his death more of an expected transition rather than a dramatic upheaval. The immediate consequence of Henry IV's passing was the smooth ascension of his son, Henry V, who had already been acting as a de facto ruler. Unlike the instability that had marked Henry IV's reign, Henry V would go on to achieve military glory, most notably with his victory at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. In this way, Henry IV's death allowed for a shift in England's trajectory, from internal strife to external conquest in the Hundred Years' War against France. Henry IV's legacy was shaped by the political realities of his time. His reign exemplified the difficulties of maintaining authority without an undisputed claim to the throne. In literature, he was immortalized by William Shakespeare in Henry IV, Part 1, and Henry IV, Part 2, where he is portrayed as a troubled ruler whose usurpation haunts him until his death. His famous deathbed prophecy, in which he is said to have misheard that he would die in Jerusalem, only to realize he was in the Jerusalem chamber of Westminster Abbey, adds a poetic irony to his passing. Ultimately, Henry IV's death reflects the broader medieval struggle over power and legitimacy, showing how kingship was fraught with challenges both on the battlefield and in the political sphere. His rule, though overshadowed by his son's later triumphs, remains a key moment in England's dynastic conflicts, immortalized through historical accounts and literary portrayals that continue to shape our perception of medieval monarchy. Gregory Walcott, an American actor known for his roles in film and television, passed away on March 20, 2015 at the age of 87. His death was attributed to natural causes, marking the end of a long life that saw him transition from a Hollywood character actor to an enduring figure in cult cinema history. While he appeared in numerous mainstream productions, Walcott is best remembered for his involvement in Plan 9 from Outer Space, 1957, often labeled one of the worst films ever made. Ironically, this association, once seen as a professional misstep, ultimately secured his lasting place in popular culture. Walcott's passing reflected a shift in Hollywood's perception of legacy and the reevaluation of cult cinema. During his career, he worked in an industry that prized prestige and sought to distance itself from perceived failures. Plan 9 from Outer Space was a low-budget film by director Ed Wood, dismissed in its time but later embraced as a beloved example of so bad it's good filmmaking. Walcott himself expressed initial regret over his involvement, but he later grew to appreciate the film's unintended legacy. His death highlighted how cinematic history often reinterprets and reframes work that was once maligned, showing how nostalgia and fandom shape cultural memory. The immediate consequences of his passing were subtle, but it reinforced the ongoing appreciation of cult cinema and the legacy of figures like Ed Wood. Walcott's death was noted in film circles, where he was remembered not only for his role in Plan 9, but also for his contributions to films like Norma Rae, 1979, and the Eiger Sanction, 1975. His career represented the working actor's journey, one filled with highs, lows, and unexpected cultural resonance. Walcott's legacy is preserved through the enduring fascination with Plan 9 from Outer Space and the broader reevaluation of Ed Wood's filmography. His career illustrates how an artist's body of work can take on new meaning over time, demonstrating how cinema immortalizes even the most unlikely figures. His willingness to embrace his connection to a film once considered a failure speaks to a larger truth about Hollywood, that history is often kinder in retrospect, and what is dismissed in one era may be celebrated in another. Through film retrospectives, documentaries, and ongoing fan interest, Walcott remains part of a larger conversation about the beauty of cinematic imperfection and the unpredictable nature of artistic legacy. James Herbert, the British horror novelist, passed away on March 20, 2013, at the age of 69. His death was attributed to natural causes, and it came as a shock to many as he had not been publicly known to suffer from any serious illness. As one of the most successful and influential horror writers of his time, Herbert's passing marked the end of an era for a genre that he helped redefine. Herbert rose to prominence in the 1970s with his debut novel, The Rats, 1974, a visceral and unflinching horror story that set the tone for his career. Unlike the more Gothic-influenced horror of previous decades, Herbert's works reflected the anxieties of contemporary society, incorporating themes of urban decay, environmental destruction, and social collapse. His novels often featured graphic depictions of violence and destruction, mirroring the growing unease of a world grappling with nuclear threats, economic uncertainty, and changing social structures. His death did not bring immediate upheaval to the literary world, but it did mark the loss of a significant voice in modern horror. In an era where horror fiction had become increasingly psychological and introspective, Herbert's brand of fast-paced cinematic storytelling remained a unique contribution. The outpouring of tributes from fellow writers and fans highlighted the extent of his influence, not only on horror fiction, but also on pop culture. His books had been translated into multiple languages and adapted into films, ensuring that his legacy would persist beyond his lifetime. Herbert's passing underscores the way authors achieve immortality through their work. While his death was quiet and without spectacle, his novels continue to terrify and enthrall readers, keeping his vision alive. His ability to tap into primal fears, whether through monstrous rats, supernatural hauntings, or dystopian nightmares, cemented his place among the greats of horror literature. He is remembered not just through his books, but also through the writers he inspired, the films adapted from his stories, and the enduring power of horror fiction as a reflection of societal fears. In death, Herbert joins the ranks of horror legends whose works outlive them, proving that storytelling is one of the most potent ways to defy mortality. His novels, still in circulation and still terrifying new generations of readers, serve as an ongoing testament to the dark genius of his imagination. Brian Wilde, the beloved British actor best known for his roles in Last of the Summer Wine and Porridge, passed away on March 20, 2008, at the age of 80. His death was due to natural causes, following a period of declining health. As a veteran of British television comedy, Wilde's passing marked the end of an era for fans who had grown up watching his performances, particularly his portrayal of the mild-mannered yet exasperated prison officer Mr. Barrowclough in Porridge and the cantankerous but lovable Foggy Dewhurst in Last of the Summer Wine. Wilde's career flourished during a golden age of British television, when sitcoms were a major cultural force, reflecting the humor and resilience of the working class. His comedic timing and ability to bring warmth to otherwise stern or eccentric characters made him a household name. His passing was felt deeply in the entertainment industry, particularly among those who had worked with him and the countless fans who had enjoyed his performances over decades. Although he had largely retired from acting by the time of his death, his absence served as a reminder of how television had evolved, shifting away from the traditional sitcom format that had defined his career. Unlike figures whose deaths drastically altered the cultural landscape, Wilde's passing did not cause an immediate upheaval, but it did lead to an outpouring of tributes from colleagues and admirers. His work remained a staple of British television, with reruns of Porridge and Last of the Summer Wine continuing to introduce new generations to his performances. His death reinforced the idea that television actors, particularly those in long-running series, achieve a kind of immortality through their work, as their presence lingers on screens long after they are gone. Wilde's legacy is preserved in the enduring popularity of British sitcoms, which continue to be celebrated as a vital part of television history. His portrayal of characters who balanced authority with humor and vulnerability reflects the timeless appeal of well-crafted comedy. In a broader sense, his passing reminds us of the power of entertainment to connect generations, providing laughter and comfort even in an ever-changing world. Through reruns, archival footage, and the fond memories of fans, Brian Wilde's contributions to British television remain an enduring part of comedy history. Queen Juliana of the Netherlands passed away on March 20, 2004, at the age of 94, after a prolonged battle with pneumonia. Her death marked the end of an era for the Dutch people, as she had been a deeply beloved and widely respected monarch, remembered not for grandeur, but for her humility and devotion to her country. She had abdicated the throne in 1980 in favor of her daughter, Queen Beatrix, reflecting a modernizing trend among European monarchies, where rulers stepped aside for the next generation rather than reigning until death. Juliana's passing underscored the values she embodied during her reign: compassion, service, and a strong connection to the people. Unlike many other royals of her time, she was known for her down-to-earth nature, often appearing in simple clothes and preferring to be addressed as Mevrouw, Madam, rather than by her royal title. She reigned during a period of great transformation in the Netherlands, overseeing the country's recovery from World War II, the decolonization of Indonesia, and the expansion of the Dutch welfare state. Her leadership reflected a post-war shift away from rigid aristocratic formality toward a more accessible and people-focused monarchy. The immediate aftermath of her death saw an outpouring of national mourning. She had remained a popular and unifying figure even after her abdication, and her passing was seen as a moment of historical reflection. The Dutch royal family, known for its relative modernity compared to other European dynasties, continued to follow the precedent she set by balancing tradition with progress. Her funeral, though adhering to royal customs, was characterized by simplicity, aligning with her personal philosophy. Juliana's legacy endures in the way the Dutch monarchy continues to operate, with a balance of duty and relatability. She is immortalized in literature, documentaries, and historical analyses that highlight her role in shaping a more modern and democratic vision of royalty. Her death serves as a reminder of how leadership, when guided by sincerity and a genuine connection with the people, can leave a lasting impression beyond mere political influence. Through her memory, the Netherlands continues to celebrate a monarch who prioritized humanity over ceremony, reinforcing the evolving relationship between power, mortality, and public legacy.